Hi future pilots, this is Pranav Patel. I used to study at Proactive Air Services and I'm from an Indian background. I started my journey in 2018 at Proactive Air Services when we used to be back then at Airline service building. We started off the school with just 3 students, where we were 2 Indians and 1 South Sudanese. We had only 2 teachers in ground to teach us the grounds. We had William and Joshua and Conrad as a substitute who used to teach few subjects to us. I'm going to talk to you about my childhood, how I gained the passion of being a pilot and where I am right now. I started studying. I did my high school at Sri Kachileva Patel Samaj School at Nairobi West. I was at the point of where I had to come and choose my subjects for my O levels. I came down to Wilson, spoke to a few pilots and gave me way forward of what I have to do to achieve to be a pilot. So they told me you need certain subjects like physics and mathematics and English obviously to be a better pilot. Once I finished my high school, I came into Proactive. But back then, before high school, when I was small and I used to travel a lot with my family to the UK, to India and different parts of the world. I used to love planes since a small child. I used to have toys, I used to have helicopters, RC aeroplanes, and I had a dream of being in that cockpit once. And when I used to travel with my family, I used to request my parents that I want to meet the pilot who is flying us today. And I used to beg them that please talk to them that I can go visit the cockpit inside. And when that time came and I felt the feeling of being inside the cockpit of a Boeing 777, I felt really well. And since that day I said, my dream is going to be a captain of a Boeing 777. And my journey from there started. I finished high school. On my O-level journey, I was really concentrating on the subjects that I really needed to be a pilot because I never had a plan B in mind. My main focus was only to be a pilot. I really worked hard in my O-level results to bring the requirement I needed to be a pilot. After I finished my O-levels, I came in to Wilson Airport. I never heard of Proactive Air Services when I came in. I went to a few schools, but one of my friend who came from abroad, who was an Indian as well, he was at Proactive, and I got to know him that he's learning to be a pilot as well. So I spoke to him about how Proactive is, and since that day, the words he gave me and the description he gave me about Proactive really made me think that Proactive is the place for me to be. So I'll talk to you about my flying experience in BPL. I really had a good flying experience in BPL. After I got so basically I'll start off with my solo. Me and my instructor was Philip, and we were doing circuits. I think it was my second lesson of circuits, and we just landed and we were backtracking runway 14, and he goes to me, Pranav, if I gave you the opportunity today, or I thought of giving you a solo today, will you be able to fly it? And with the brave decision, I said yes. And he's like, okay, fine. So he went ahead and requested to the tower that release of first students for the first solo. And I went and I was at the holding runway 07. I was holding there for almost 10 minutes because obviously we were at a time of where arrivals were really high. So we hit at around 1 p.m. and we had a lot of incoming traffic to land. And I was there for 10 minutes. So they wanted clear airspace for me to fly and not to have any interruptions in the airspace. And I was there for 10 minutes. I was wondering, what will I do? So I was just premeditating myself, what I'm going to do, thinking ahead of the aircraft, as always, what I have to do next. So I was there. I was told to line up runway 07. I lined up. I rolled to runway 07 and I took off. Came downwind and winds were quite strong a bit, but not that bad for me. I was flying the Charlie 152. It's quite a light aircraft, so obviously with the wind factors tends to throw you away. And I came and did a good approach and everything and landed safely. But in my mind I had that people were looking at me. I had the whole proactive team down at their side that time. I had in mind that also the tower are looking at me, how my landing is going to be. I have other aircrafts that are waiting at the holding point looking at me, how my landing is going to be. So I was perfect with my landing, and obviously the celebrations were always waiting at the hangar with a bucket of water with mud, oil, jet fuel, F-gas, everything mixed up and ready to pour on me. And I came and parked the aircraft well, and the celebration started. After that, I was well with the rest of the progress and came in, and the time came in for cross country. So there was a cross country. I'm going to talk to you about a bush flying experience that I experienced. It was a solo cross country flight to Magadi, and obviously back then I was a PPL student. You were to go with a safety pilot, and back then Conrad was a safety pilot who was flying with me to Magadi. We reached Magadi. We did an engine failure procedure at Magadi, simulated an engine failure procedure at Magadi. Did a touch and go, and I requested Conrad that if you can land at Magadi and go have a walk at the lake and see how the views are there. So he's like, okay, we'll do one touch and go, and the next one we're going to land. So we did a touch and go and came back and landed. We landed, we parked the aircraft well and secured it well, and we had like stopover of around 15-20 minutes. Went down to the lake, came back, we did our inspection, flat inspection, walk around, and we did all our checks and everything was normal. And obviously it was very hot that time, and we finished everything and we were ready to start. So obviously we went and we started the aircraft and refused to start the first go. So Conrad took over and he tried to start it himself. And the third time we tried it, we found smoke coming in from the cockpit, but we didn't know the reason. So I alerted Conrad immediately that there's smoke coming in the cockpit. And immediately we did was evacuate the aircraft and have the fire extinguisher ready in case of any other fire. We went out, we secured the aircraft, we were safe ourselves, and we waited and tried to find out to see where the fire started out from. We opened the engine cowling, we tried to see if there was anything that started the fire from there because of the hot weather, and we couldn't find anything. So we let the aircraft cool down for around half an hour, and Conrad is like, let's start it again. But this time we didn't start it with the key, we hand cranked the aircraft. So Conrad is like, I'm going to try and hand crank the aircraft and see if it's going to start. And we tried that twice, and we tried it three times as well. It didn't start. And obviously we had no water with us. Our phone battery was about to die. Conrad Conrad's phone battery was already dead, and we had no way out. We were around 45 minutes flight away from Magadi to Narad, and we had to call search and rescue. So obviously the procedure, we had to call Wilson Tower. We informed them that we needed a search and rescue, and we also called Proactive Air Services for them to send in an engineer and an aircraft to rescue us. And it was late, it was getting dark, so, and the aircraft which Proactive had was on another cross-country flight to Kiswin. So they had to call that aircraft back from where it was. It came back, it got the engineers on board, it got the instructor on board obviously, and they came back. They came down to Magadi to rescue us. So the engineers tried to see what the issue was or where the issue came up from, and they thought it was maybe low battery issue. So they came in with batteries. We tried new batteries in the start, and then they found out that the starter was burnt. So maybe because of the heat, the starter got hot and couldn't start anymore. So obviously we left the engineer there with both the engineers there, and me myself, and the instructor who flew the aircraft in, and Conrad flew back to Aaron Wilson. And it was around 6:30, it was almost night, and I flew back the aircraft, obviously because I had to finish my return leg of my cross country. And the next day we went back to, obviously they found out the issue. The next day we went again with that aircraft to bring that aircraft back in with the starter and everything. And the second time we went, again changed everything, and the aircraft refused to start. So that was my experience as a bush flying. And the third time I went again, it didn't start. So I told my instructor, I'm not going to come anymore with you guys to bring the aircraft down. You guys, you can go ahead and bring the aircraft because I see luck was not on my side. And what I say to students who are flying, always have a power bank, a torch, and water supply or food with you. You can have any incident flying to you, or flying to different parts, say Amboseli or Magadi, doing your cross countries alone, but you might find an incident heading there or coming back, or you have nothing on board with you, and you need a way to survive. And always have a matchbox as well with you, because in case if it's pitch dark and search and rescue is not there for you, and they're not able to search you in at night, you're able to build a bonfire and at least give them a sign of where you are exactly. I'm going to talk to you about my day to day, what I do as when I'm not flying as a student pilot. Obviously, we've got wind factors, weather factors correction, where weather is not suitable for you to fly. And again, also mechanical wise, maybe the aircraft is due to check or is maybe in service. So what do I do during that time? So I usually play a lot of sports. I do swimming, I play golf, I play cricket, I play squash. So I play a lot of sports. I also play football. So during when the weather is bad, I just get notified by my instructor that the weather is not suitable to fly. So I just plan myself. I just go to any of the golf courses, play my golf session there, come back home, maybe go to the temples. I also play musical instruments. I play for a band, for East Africa Satsang Songran Temple Band, the Scottish band. I play the snare drum. So I also love music as well. I love making bits, drum bits out of music. So that's what I do when I'm not my day out of school. I'm now going to talk to you about my CPL journey. I started off with a 152, Cessna 152. Basically, I've flown all the aircrafts at Proactive, a Charlie 150, a Charlie 152, and a Charlie 172. So obviously, when I started my CPL journey flying, I had to move from a Charlie 152 to a Charlie 172. And obviously, we had to start off with the local training area, and from there head back to circuits, see if everything was okay, if the instructor was happy, and he was ready to release me for solo. And obviously, in a day, we finished all the exercises at the local training area, and the next day we came and did circuits. So it's quite different aircraft, fast aircraft, and big and heavy. So it was quite difficult for me to do that change, but it was a good experience as well, and it's also an advantage towards my side as well, because I've flown all the aircrafts in case if I want to change again, I have no other issues. So we went and did circuits, and obviously the first circuit, the first touch and go, the instructor was with me, and the second one he was a bit with me, and the third one he was like, "And I want you to do it alone." So I did it well, but I was used to the light aircraft, of it to sink and just land there, but with this aircraft it was different completely. So we came in. The third one I did well, was not bad, it was not 100%, I say. And then the fourth one was really bad. I was coming in really fast and really high as well. So I flared really high over the threshold, and I went and bounced the aircraft, and I went again up. So the instructor was really frustrated with me. He's like, "You can't do this," and I was really scared, like, what am I going to do next? But obviously, the passion I had to flying, I just remembered that I can't give up, and I should never give up. And I just told him, what should I have to do? So I was never afraid to ask my instructor what I have to do to be perfect. I always used to question him different things of if I get this kind of a scenario, what do I have to do? If I get this kind of a scenario, what do I have to do? So he always used to support me that way. And obviously, when he came again, what he guided me on really helped me. I did around 4 or 5 flights with my instructor, and he found me I was perfect already with the change of aircrafts, and he released me for my solo for that aircraft. I did a few circuits. Basically, I think I did almost 25 hours circuits on the Charlie 172. And then he was like, "You're now done with circuits, you don't need to do anymore." So I'm like, "What's next?" He's like, "We're gonna do cross countries." So I did my cross country flights. So basically, the good thing with Proactive was I was allowed to choose where I want to go for my cross country flights. So I used to choose new destinations to go to. So we used to go to like Musinga, we used to go to Seven Fox, we used to go to Nevasha, we used to go to Mara, different airstrips at Mara. So basically we've done like new airstrips, not done normal ones like Musinga, stuff like that. We used to do new ones completely. So that was a good thing for Proactive to allow me to choose what cross-country flight I want to do. And we used to choose a scenic cross-country flight, so we used to have good pictures taken, good videos taken, stuff like that. And so obviously with time we went to different places, and then finally my time came to an end for CPL. And before that I had to do night flying as well. So night circuits, I did it with Conrad, and obviously I also asked him different questions, because night flying was completely different to day flying, and it was a good experience as well. We were also having good views, and also requested him if we could go and do circuits at Jomo Kenyatta to have that feeling of how it feels to land on an international airport with such a massive runway, which is 4 kilometers long, almost 4 kilometers long. And he's like, yeah, why not? It's good to always try a new airport and do a circuit there to have or to learn from it. So we went and did. Obviously, he gave me the opportunity to how to join Jomo Kenyatta, how to do circuits there as well. And obviously, night I was perfect. I did my night flying really well. I built lots of hours in night because I used to love night circuits rather than day circuits. So I used to fly with my friends at night after I got my solo. I used to bring them in, and also they used to gain experience. So basically, I love bringing students with me in my aircraft when I fly, and what I learn from my instructors, I share information to them as well. So I used to bring them. They used to experience how night flying goes as well, and with that, everything went well. And then I did my CPL exams. So obviously, I went through a really tough time in PPL with the exams. And when I went to my CPL exams, KCA changed their rules and regulations. So there was no more partial pass. So that way I was safe, my side, because I was not now worried about the partial pass. And obviously again with the experience of how the exams were, and I got to know what exams are like in KCA, I really read my books really well. There were some subjects that bring some difficulties, but obviously proactive is always there for you, your instructor is always there for you to back you up. And I went and did my CPL exams, I'm not sure, maybe 2023, if I'm not wrong, yeah. I did my 2023 in Feb, and in my first sitting I passed 5 exams, 1 go, and then I was left with 3 exams obviously. The second sitting I passed 2 exams, and I was just left with 1 exam. So that 1 exam made me go through a lot, and I kept sitting for that exam. But obviously I came back to proactive. They supported me, they made me go back to what I had to do, because the information I had and the information in exams were not really matching up. So they really helped me with that, and I went and finished my exams up. And once I finished my exams up, I was left with around 16 hours to finish to get my CPL license. So obviously I talked to my instructor, what's next now? So he's like, we're gonna do a flight to Mombasa, and I was really excited for it. Obviously, who is not excited to fly to Mombasa? You feel like you're now flying to an international destination, basically local but something international, which is quite far. And we flew to Mombasa. We had a really good flight. It was obviously, we had an option to stay in Mombasa, but we didn't want to stay there because it's quite hectic finding accommodation and stuff like that. So we did a day flight, which was on a Saturday. We took off early in the morning from Nairobi Wilson and headed to Moi International Airport. It was around 2 hours flight, 2 hours 35 minutes flight. It was a good flight, very scenic. We were above the clouds, which is the best. And obviously they say pilots have the best office, which is the cockpit with the best views as well. And we've got the best views of, we had the best view of Mount Kilimanjaro. We flew with an amazing view. We had our snacks as well in the aircraft, so we were having snacks while looking at the views. We did a circuit. Obviously we did a touch in Moi International Airport, so the instructor guided me of how to land on and how to join into an international airport. So he taught me, he showed me, he basically simulated the procedures. It was really good. Obviously Mombasa being a coastal area, so the winds are really high there, so obviously we have to be really careful as well. So we went, and I really felt the winds when I was on approach, because again it's a 172 but with the winds of 18-19 knots, which is slight cross winds. They tend to pull the light aircraft, throw the light aircrafts away from the approach. So I had to be really careful obviously, and it was a really good touchdown with the takeoff as well. And then he's like, we're going to do a low level flying. So I also asked him, are we going to do a low level flying? So basically a low level flying is you're maybe 1,000 feet above the sea, We're flying 1,000 feet above the sea, and across the coastline. So you see the people swimming in the coastline. You see hotels, you see people, and you're really low. So we had also good views there. We took good videos as well, good pictures as well. And then we were heading to Malindi. Obviously, we had to refill our aircraft. We headed to Malindi. Malindi, we did a stopover, so obviously we were tired from. Obviously now after Moi reaching to Malindi, it was almost a 3 hours flight non-stop. And obviously these training aircrafts don't have autopilot, so we had to be on the controls full time. And we were quite tired as well, so we wanted to stretch our legs out, have a break, have a snack. So we had the stopover for an hour at Malindi, fueled, and we headed back to Nairobi Wilson. We headed back to Wilson almost being dark. So again, I had an experience of a night cross country, which was really good. Obviously, then the cross country journey ended there, and then the final bit was now where we come to the general flight test, where now you get examined by a qualified examiner on an aircraft. He takes you to different places. He tests what you learnt with your instructor and whether that knowledge has or that experience has got into you, or whether you're going to know or you're going to learn or you learnt everything what you learnt with your instructor, and it's going to help you in your future as well. So my examiner was Mr. Washira, Captain Washira. He was a really good examiner. We started off with a brief, and the brief really went really well. He obviously told me to do a cross country, so it was a diversion cross country to Sultan Hamid to Kajiado and back. So immediately we took off heading to Sultan Hamid, and he told me to divert to in between. We hadn't reached Sultan Hamid, but he told me to divert to Kajiado from nowhere. So I had to find where my current position is. Obviously, when you're doing a training flight, you're not allowed to use a GPS. So obviously we didn't have the GPS on, so we had to do VFR flying, and I had to find my current position. We flew to Kajiado. He's like, "Can you say it?" I'm like, "Yes, I can say it." Once we approached close, and then from there he told me, I thought from Kajiado we're going to go back to Wilson, but no, he told me now fly to Magadi, which I was not ready for. So always I had to be ready. I always had to be ready, or always think ahead of the aircraft. So once I was there, I was always ready and with everything. So he like fly to Magadi, so I had to be ready. I was given like less than a minute to find my route, to find my heading, to find my estimates, and we flew to Magadi. We did a touch and go at Magadi. We did lots of exercises there, obviously to see whether I'd learnt what the instructor told me, and I was all good. And again, was already around 6:40. We took off from Magadi, coming to Nairobi Wilson. It's around 25 to 30 minutes flight. We came in pitch dark to Nairobi. It was already 7, so basically sunset is already done and it's dark. So it was a good experience again with an examiner, with no GPS obviously. Once we were inside the Nairobi control zone, he gave me the permission to switch on the GPS, and it was a good experience to fly again with an experienced pilot who was my examiner, and he had no issues. He had no trouble with me flying, and we did night circuits, and we came in and landed at around 7:30, and obviously that's where my journey ended. And he briefed me of how my flight was, and the only thing he said was, "What you've done was all good, and there was no other issues, and I think you've passed your exams." And that feeling I had inside was I don't know how to express that feeling out really, because there was no one around. It was just one flight dispatcher was just waiting for me down there because it was late night, and he's like, "Pranav, you've passed your exams." And I was almost about to cry, obviously because of the journey I've had. It was a journey of almost 6 years, and I thank Proactive for what they've made me and where I am right now.
In front of us, and once you're well established on that direction, I'd like you to do a medium turn to the left, that is 30 degrees level medium turn, back onto that heading, eh?
Okay.
Okay, whenever you are ready, you go ahead.
Charlie Zulu joined by Monastery for final runway 07, QNH 1022.
QNH 1022 requesting QNH in inches please.
30.18.
30.18 next Monastery, Charlie Zulu.
To the future pilots outside there, I will say, according to my experience, that flying is not easy. Outside, the world outside must be thinking, oh, it's just landing and taking off, and the pilots, the rest of the flight, they're just sitting back and sipping their coffee or maybe having a talk. But no, to the future pilots, I would say, always be on your books. Once you get your license, never leave your books. Books are your best friends. Yeah, without books, you're not going to go anywhere. And obviously, I would say to the Indian community as well, they find this, many students who have pursued it in piloting, they find this journey really difficult from the first phase, but never give up. Proactive has always been there for me, as you see, and it's also there for other future pilots. So please like, share and subscribe this video. Thank you, and Asante Sana.